Welcome to the UBC Farm, the Center for Research on Sustainable Food Systems at UBC. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge that the UBC Farm is located on the traditional, unceded, and ancestral territory of the Musqueam people. Today we're going to be talking to some of the staff of the farm and learning about some of the initiatives they have going on here.
Oh yeah, let's go and talk to them.
My name is Anna Brooks. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the site services coordinator at the farm. So I do a lot of the supporting the farmers here with like space bookings, events, equipment, health and safety, all that kind of stuff.
My name is Dakota Barron. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the lead field coordinator here at the UBC Farm. So the farm is situated on about 60 hectares of land here in UBC. And within that, we usually have about 6 to 8 acres within cultivation, and that's a mix of annuals and perennials.
Back in the early 2000s, UBC initially planned to zone this land for housing, like most of the rest of Westbrook. And it actually took a student campaign, the Save the Farm campaign, and they ended up zoning it green academic, which basically means that this is protected as a green space for teaching and learning and research.
And right now we really are focusing on just perennial and annual production, mostly for your kind of market style vegetable stall setup. So anything you could see at a market stall here in Canada, we try to produce. So our main channels of outlet are we sell at our own farmers markets on Tuesdays, Saturdays, and Wednesdays. And then we also sell on campus to multiple wholesale accounts and also off campus. And then we have a CSA program, which is $170 CSA. So if we were to talk about the main objectives here at the UBC Farm, there's a lot of things that come into play, specifically education, sustainability, land stewardship, and research.
So there's a lot of agricultural research, of all kinds, happening at the farm. When it comes to promoting sustainable food systems, that's a huge part of the research that goes on the farm. And we are the Center for Sustainable Food Systems. And so we're looking at long-term and future scale research on how to make farming climate viable and resilient. That's a big part of it. Apart from our research, we're also always trying new things on the farm, doing our own experiments. This year, a big thing is no-till. Just trying to, figure out what can, most sustainably, both environmentally and production-wise, keep the farm going. Loads of different initiatives basically come to the farm as a site for either teaching or research or learning or community engagement. Some of those include courses that come in and out, and especially land and food systems and forestry have agreements with the farm where they use the space for all kinds of things. We also collaborate with UBC Food Services, which is the biggest purchaser of UBC Farm produce. So anyone who's ever eaten in a residence dining hall has definitely eaten our produce. So the produce cultivated on the farm goes to a lot of different places. It goes out to wholesale, to restaurants, and to people who cook with it. So a lot of it goes to UBC Food Services and into residence dining. Then a lot of it goes to restaurants around Vancouver. And then a lot of it gets sold at market. So we have Saturday, Tuesday, and Wednesday farmers markets all through our summer and into fall season. And then some of our produce also goes into food security initiatives. So we donate to the Sprouts Community Fridge. We also sell to Sprouts as one of our big clients and to the AMS Food Bank. And then different initiatives or different groups that use the farm also give produce to different places. So most recently our Farm Practicum program donated a third of their produce to the Little Mountain Neighborhood House Food Hub in Little Mountain. Our produce kind of goes out in a lot of different directions.
The big thing right now in BC and in all of Canada is how expensive food is. And we see that in the farmers markets we go to, we see that at the grocery stores we go to. So the accessibility of produce is always going to be, or feels like it's always going to be an issue. So I feel like we would definitely love to take steps to make it more accessible. Currently, I would say we cater more to the middle class, and I would love to see an opportunity where we'd be able to lower our prices and still be able to pay all of our wages and our costs of production. So that's the goal, is definitely covering costs, but also being able to feed people who are more food insecure. But it's a really hard one to balance, especially when food production is just inherently expensive.
The 2019 student experience survey done by UBC found that almost 40% of UBC students self-report being food insecure. That raised a lot of people's consciousness to the scale of it. And that was also even kind of before the extent of the cost of living crisis that we're in now. Basically, food is very expensive and students are a lot of the time uniquely vulnerable to food insecurity. I think just more UBC support for food insecurity would make a huge difference for us. As much as we can donate produce, and we do donate produce, we can still only donate so much to match the costs of creating it. But yeah, I think there's a lot of hesitancy from institutions, especially institutions with yearly budgets like UBC, to give money to just spend on food itself. I think people tend to want to fund programs that can be sustainable and kind of do annual budget reports and say that they're becoming more efficient with their money, and just spending money on food doesn't work like that. But genuinely, to fight food insecurity, people need to just buy food. And I hope that, institutions like UBC can kind of see the value in funding emergency food aid, even if it is just emergency food aid and it's Band-Aid solution, that ultimately, people need to eat. One program we have that I think a lot of students don't know about is the AMS subsidizes a discount on all our produce at markets for students. So that's an example of the institution putting forward the money to make up the difference so that students can benefit from it.
Our Work Learn program is subsidized by the Work Learn office, and they subsidize $9 of their wages, which is very, very helpful for us because it allows us to hire students that we wouldn't normally be able to hire. We have been taking Work Learns, I'm not really sure for how many years, but I want to say almost a decade, where they have been a huge working force for the farm. So that's given a really wonderful connection between the farm and the students. We also have a volunteer program that many students do come and volunteer at. And a lot of the students who start here as volunteers then become Work Learns later. So that's really nice. And also, we have seen a lot of students who start as volunteers become Work Learns and then become full-time staff. So we see this really nice progression of students who are learning to farm here and then actually end up staying for multiple years.
My favorite part is definitely the community and just the diversity of initiatives that happen here in the same place and the connections between them. I really love coming into the farm center on any day and seeing researchers and garden coordinators and people who work here in Work Learns all kind of sharing and connecting their experiences.
Our community, I think the people that come here because they really value the space. And I think it's a little bit of refuge in a big city like Vancouver, to be able to live in Vancouver and come to work here and feel like I am not in a massive city is wild to me. I'm very lucky. But it's the people that come here and the community that we really try to foster for not just staff, not just students, but and anybody who comes here is welcome. And you see that in the events we put on in the summer and just the bonfires we have in the back. And it's just such a beautiful place to work, and it's such a unique space that I think if UBC ever lost it, it would be an insurmountable tragedy. So
definitely come to the farm. There are so many ways to connect, and there's definitely a place for you here.